Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Enjoy! For this question, it's really important that we understand what the words sum and product mean. Now, sum just means add, and product just means times. So we're going to start by adding the 5 and the 4. So that will equal 9. And then what we're going to do is find the product of 9 and 7. So we're going to multiply them together. 9 times 7, which is 63. So our answer is 63. So with this question, we need to first of all count how many sides this polygon has. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10 sides. And we just need to know that a 10-sided shape is a decagon. Now we are expected to know all of the names of shapes between 3 and 10 sides, so if you don't know them already, just sit down and learn them. The key says that a circle represents 8 DVDs, and if we cut it up, then each quarter represents 2. So Monday had 8 and 2 and 2, which is 12. Tuesday had 8 and 8, which was 16. Wednesday had 8, 2, 2, 2, which is 14. And Thursday had 8, 8 and a quarter, which is 2, which is 18. But with a pictogram, you can actually just look to see which has the most of the shape. So if you look at Thursday, it has 2 and a quarter. Well, that's more than any of the other ones. All the other ones have 2 or less. So it's definitely going to be Thursday. So 55% is the same as 55 over 100. And what I can do is I can divide top one of the fraction by 5. And so that is going to equal 11 over 20. Now in total there are 20 squares here because there's 5 across and 4 down. 5 times 4 is 20. And if there's 20 squares and we're looking to shade in 11 20ths, it's just going to be 11 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this person's at Ashcook at 2017. So they're going to have missed this train here, and they're going to have missed this train here, so those are off. But they will be in time for this train here, and we're looking for the time it hits rise down. So it will get to flute at 20:52, and then rise down will be at 21:24. So if we just add the amount of sides each of these shapes has, a triangle has 3 sides, quadrilateral 4, pentagon 5, hexagon 6. And notice what's happening with the number of edges. They're multiplied by 3. Each time they're multiplied by 3. So all we need to do is get the 15, multiply it by 3, which will be 45. So there will be 45 edges. The first thing to do when working out what angle things need to be on a pie chart is to add up the frequencies. So we're going to do 14 plus 7 plus 3, and we find out that that's 24. Then we're going to find the angle that one item would be. So one item is going to be, well, there are 360 degrees in a triangle, and there are 24 items. So we're going to do 360 divided by 24. And that gives us 15 degrees. So each item is worth 15 degrees, or will take up 15 degrees. So to find out the angle for red, well, we've got 14 items. times it by 15, and that will give us 210 degrees. And we're just going to times each of these by 15, which will be 105, and the final one times 15 is 45 degrees. Add them up and they add up to 360, which is good. They need to add up to 360. So we got our protractor, rest it on the pie chart. Now we know 180 is down here, so the first thing we're going to do is just mark that on, because the first angle is going to be 210, so we know that's 180 so far. So I'm going to turn my protractor around, and from 180, 210 will be another 30, so I'm just going to plot that on, and then I'm going to join it up. So start at the center and join that up, and we're going to stop when the circle stops. Then to do 105, we're going to put our protractor in the middle, and we're going to look at 105, which will be up here, and then we're just going to join it up with a straight line. And then we're just going to check the last angle, and so if I put my protractor on it, and it is 45 degrees. Perfect. Now, an important step to not miss is you need to label them. And so the first one is red, the second one is blue, and then the final one is other. So firstly, we're going to work out what the percentage increases are as a multiplier. So we start off with 100%. Jane has a 1.2% interest pay rise, sorry, and so that would be 101.2%, and we divide that by 100 to make it a multiplier. So the multiplier is 1.012, so we get the 20,000 times it by 1.012, and that gives us 240. Next we do the same for Lenny, so that is Jane. And so let's do Lenny. And so that's 100% plus the 1.5% will be 101.5%. Make that a multiplier, 101.5%. We divide that by 100. Which give us 1.015, and then finally what we do is we get the 17,000 times it by the multiplier, and when we do that we get 255. So Lenny has 255, Jane has 240, so it says which of the employees has a larger pay increase and by how much. So the answer will be Lenny, and it's by £15 because that's the difference between these. So to do this question you just need a piece of paper, a ruler and a protractor, and the first thing we do is we draw the 11 centimetre line, and my one will not be 11 centimetres for you. It is on my screen, but because depending on what device you watch this on will change obviously its length. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my protractor on this end here. So I've kind of got my protractor here, and I'm going to just have a look at getting 39 degrees. Now you've got to be careful because 39 is on the inside, and I'm just going to do a dot. So always look to see which one, the inside or the outside of the protractor, starts at 0, and the inside should start at 0 from this side. And I'm just going to draw a line that connects the end of that line and the dot, like so. Now just you can keep it going. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is put my protractor on the other side. So my protractor is kind of here, and I'm lining up the crosshairs with this point here. But this time I'm measuring on the left hand side, and I'm looking at 59 degrees, which will be here. Get my ruler. Now this time I can actually stop where it hits the other line. So keep going and then stop where it hits the other line. This screen's not perfectly calibrated, so it's difficult to do precise work, something like that. And then what you can do is you can get your rubber and just rub out the extra bit of line that we had to do. And so this is our 39 degrees here, and you don't need to label this on the diagram, but just so we know what we're doing. And it says when it's completed, measure length x. So I'm going to get my ruler out and I'm going to measure this length here, this one here, and it is about 95 millimeters. So the answer for me is 95 millimeters. Now there is some level of precision. You're not going to get necessarily exactly 95 millimeters. When we mark these questions, we normally have an overlay and we put it over the top, and if it's roughly the same, and you can make small errors because nobody's perfect, and my diagram definitely is not perfect, but there are allowable small errors here and there. So the pass mark for the test is here, and we can see that there are 2 students who passed the test. So it's 2 students out of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. And we want this as a percentage, so we're going to times it by 100%. So we do 2 over 7 times 100, and that gives us 28.571, blah, blah, blah. And it says it wants it to the nearest percent, so that will be 29%. So we can see that the first 4 of these have already been plotted. Now it's really important that you you do the coordinate the right way around. So the first one is number and then algebra. So we're looking at this coordinate here. We're 18 on number, which would be here, and then 14 on algebra, which would be this point here. 12 on both, so 12 and 12 would be here, and then 21 and 17, so 21 and 17 would be roughly there. So we know that the mean is the sum of numbers over the amount, but in this question we're actually given what the mean is. We're given that that is 29. We're also given the fact that there are 4 cards, so we're given the amount. So what we can do is just get our lines in and solve this. So what we're going to do is just times both sides by 4. So we're going to do 29 times 4, which is 116. And so we know that the sum of the numbers will be 116. So all we need to do is to find the 4th card is get that 116 and just take away the numbers that we know. And when we do that, we get the answer 26. Now you can easily check this by adding up 37, 26, 27 and 26 again, and then dividing it by 4, and you will get 29. So when you look at this graph, it looks like it's going down as well as up. So it goes down to start off with, and then it starts going up, but then it starts going down again. And when you're looking at trends, you're looking, generally speaking, what's happening with it. So if you kind of draw a line to represent roughly where the graph is going, that line is going to go up. So the general view on it, the general trend, is that it is increasing. So you can write general increase in emissions. This question seems a lot harder than it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by rewriting the prime factors, but without the squared. So 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. I'm going to do the same with the other list as well. So 2 times 2 times 3 times 11. Now I'm going to put these into a Venn diagram, and so I'm just going to draw out a Venn diagram and get my 2 circles, because we're going to have the 450 and the 132. So 450 is on the left hand side and 132 is on the right hand side. And we're going to start just filling out the Venn diagram. So they both have a 2 in them and they both have a 3. But 450 has a 3, a 5 and a 5. And 132 has that 2 and the 11. Now to find the lowest common multiple, what you do is you just multiply all these numbers together and that will give you the lowest common multiple. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 times 5 times 5, which are the numbers on the left, times 2 times 3, which are the numbers in the middle, times 2 times 11. And when we do that, we get 9,900, and that's it. So our answer is 9,900. So we're going to start by understanding that all lines form or can form an equation y equals mx plus c, with m being the gradient and c being the y-intercept. It says here the gradient is -2, so we've already got a bit of a head start with this, but we don't know what the y-intercept is. So we're going to use this first set of coordinates to work out what the y-intercept is. So y is -31 and x is 15. And we're going to use this to solve and find out what c is. So first thing I'm going to do is, well, just tidy this up. 2 times 15 is 30, so -30 plus c. And I'm just going to add 30 to both sides to get c on its own. So that would be -1 equals c. So c is -1. So we now know that the equation is y equals -2x minus 1. And we're told that the y is -37. And we're looking for the x value, which they've called w. So let's get our solving lines in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add 1 to both sides. And so it would be -36 equals -2x. I'm going to now times, or divide everything by -2. And a negative divided by a negative is positive. 36 divided by 2 is 18. And then obviously that gets rid of the coefficient of the x, so it's just x. So x equals 18. So the x value is 18 and the x value is the w value. So w is 18. So let's look through this question to see what information we're given and what information we're looking for. So we're given the acceleration is 13 meters per second squared. We're also given the distance is 19. And we're also given the end velocity, which is v, is 34. And we're looking for the initial velocity. So which of these formulae include a, s, v and u? That's got a t in it, that's got a t in it, so it's going to be this one here. So let's write that out. V squared equals u squared plus 2as. So that would be 34 squared equals u squared, because that's the one we're looking for, plus 2 times 13 times 19. Okay, so let's just work these parts out. And so we've got 2 times 13 times 19, which is what, 494. And it turns into a solving part, so we're just going to solve this. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 494 from both sides. And so we're left with 662 equals u squared. Then we're just going to square root both sides. And so square root of that is going to be 25.729 blah blah blah. And it says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 25.73. So I'm going to start off just with a quick sketch, and we know that the bearing of B from A is 85 degrees. So we're going to have A here and B here. And let's just draw a line between them. And let's do both our north lines. And so we know that this angle here is 85 because it's the angle on the bearing of B from A, so it's 85 degrees. So now it says work out the bearing of A from B. So the first thing we can do is actually just draw a line going down here, and we know that this angle here will also be 85 degrees because of alternate angles. It's always best to write that down somewhere, so we can just put in brackets here alternate angles, and we know that this angle here is going to be 180 degrees because it's a straight line. And I'm not a fan of doing the reasons on the diagram, so maybe perhaps I should have labelled this an x and this a y and written x equals 85 and y equals 180 somewhere else. And so to work out what the bearing is, I just need to do 180 plus 85. So 180 plus 85 is going to be 265 degrees. The important thing to realise in this question is that we know a female has been selected. So we can just basically get rid of all of this part of the frequency tree because it's not relevant, because we know a female has been selected. So there's 29 females altogether, and we're looking for the probability that the female chosen at random picked action. So it's just simply 16 over 29. To rearrange this, I'm just going to write out the equation again, and I'm going to put my lines in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is try and make the x positive, because we're looking to make x the subject of the formula, which means we need it to be x equals. So what I'm going to do is just add x both sides. So we've got x plus m equals 10. Then we want to get rid of anything on the left hand side that's not this x, so we want to get rid of this plus m. So we're going to do that by subtracting m both sides. So we've got x equals 10 minus m. So our answer is 10 minus m. X equals 10 minus m. So when we say y is directly proportional to x, what we mean is whenever x doubles, y will double. Whenever x halves, y will halve. Now we've got this proportionality sign here, and to make that an equals, all we need to do is introduce a k constant to the right hand side. So it's y equals something times x. Now to find out what that something is, to find out what that constant is, what we're going to do is feed in the value of y and the value of x that we have. So we're going to feed those in. So y is 55.3 and x is 7. So it would be 7k. And we're just going to put our lines in and solve this. So it's going to be divide by 7 both sides. And 55.3 divided by 7 is 7.9. And that's what k is. So we're going to rewrite this equation here, this formula here, y equals 7.9x. And that is actually our answer. So it's really important, first of all, we make clear about how we convert things. So if I've got a unit in kilometers and I want to convert it into meters, then we know we just times it by 1,000. So 2 kilometers is 2,000 meters. But if I have something in kilometers squared and I want to convert it into meters squared, I actually times it by 1,000 squared, which is 1,000 times 1,000. Okay, so I'm actually timesing it by not 1,000, but 1,000 squared. So that's another 3 zeros. You can see here that that's 1,000,000. So we times it by 1,000,000. So 13 kilometers squared is going to be the 13, and then it's going to be times by 1,000,000. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 13 million. Now, it says here the farmer must pay 1 pence tax for every metre squared. So this is going to be 13 million metres squared. And so that's going to cost him or her 13 million pence. But the answer is going to be in pounds. so we just need to get rid of 2 of the zeros at the end. So it's going to be 13, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be £130,000. The important thing when choosing a sample is that everyone has an equal chance of being picked. So if you look at method 1, picking the first 30 students who enter the school is going to have a bias, because there might be a difference in the type of person who arrives early to school to the type of person who might arrive later. If we select a class in the school, then they're generally all going to be the same age. So if it's a year 7 class or a year 11 class, they're all going to be the same age. It might seem that it's fair that picking the first 30 students alphabetically, so A to F or whatever, again, that's not fair, because the people at the end of the register don't have an equal chance of being picked. So you need to make sure everyone in your population has an equal chance of being picked. So picking 30 students out of a hat containing all the students' names in is definitely the fairest way of picking a sample from this list. The formula y equals mx plus c includes this m, and the m means the gradient. So if we're looking for something that is parallel to y equals 9x plus 18, we're looking at this number here. And for it to be parallel, it needs to have the same gradient. So we could just write y equals 9x plus or subtract anything. Or we could just write y equals 9x. I'm going to say plus 5. There's an awful lot going on in this question. Whenever there's an awful lot going on, it's always best to draw a diagram. So we're going to start off at Chelton, which is a C. Then we go to Bolko, that's where we're going. And we go through Devley on the way. So we'll do a D there. Distance from Chelton to Devley is 34 miles. Distance from Devley to Bovlo is 16 miles. So I'm just reading through the question, adding it to my diagram. David leaves Chelton at 9 o'clock. He drives from Chelton to Devley an average speed of 68 miles per hour. And what speed does David travel between Devley and Bolko to arrive at 9:45? So the whole duration of this, the whole thing needs to be 45 minutes, or 0.75 hours. And the entire distance is 34 plus 16, so that would be 50 miles. Okay, now having a look at this, we need to find out what time David was at Devley. So we're going to use our speed distance time triangle. So speed equals distance over time, and we're covering up the time because that's the one we want. So it's going to be time equals distance, which is 34, over speed, which is 68. So we're going to do 34 divided by 68, which is 0.5. So it would be 0.5 hours. So that would be half an hour. So we will be at Devley at 9:30. So that means we've got 15 minutes left. Okay, so we've got 15 minutes to travel the 16 miles. So this time we're looking for the speed. Okay, so it would be speed equals the distance, which is 16 miles, over time, which is 15 minutes, but we need that in hours, so that would be 0.25 hours. And so what we can do here is times top 1 by 4 to get rid of the fraction. So it becomes 64 over 1, or just 64 miles per hour. So our answer is 64 miles per hour. So we're given a right angle triangle here, and we're asked to find length AC, which is this length here, and we're given 2 other lengths. So we're going to be using Pythagoras. Pythagoras involves us labelling the sides A, B and C. with C being the one opposite the right angle. And we know Pythagoras is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Both a and b here are 4.9, so it'd be 4.9 squared plus 4.9 squared equals c squared. So we're going to add the 4.9 squareds together, and that will give us 48.020 blah blah blah. And here we're going to do a bit of solving. So we're going to square root both sides to find out what c is. So square root of 48.020 blah 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 is 6.929 blah blah blah. Rounded to 2 decimal places, this will be 6.93. I'm just going to write the question out, so we've got a little bit bigger writing to play with here. And it doesn't actually matter which method you expand these brackets with. I'm going to use Smars and Rainbows, so we multiply the 8 by the 10x, which will make 80x, and multiply the 8 by the 4, which will make 32. Now here we've got a minus 5 on the outside, so we do minus 5 times 8x, which is minus 40x, and minus 5 times minus 4, which is actually plus 20. And a lot of students will write take away 20 there, but that is a minus 5 on the outside of the brackets there. So it's minus 5 times the minus 4 there will give you a plus 20. Then 80x take away 40x, which will give us 40x. And 32 plus 20, which would be 52. So our answer would be 40x plus 52. Whenever we do these kind of questions, it's always best to convert the pattern into numbers. So we're just going to count the dots. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 in the first one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So our sequence is going 9, 13, 17. And we're going to see what it's going up in. So we're adding 4 each time. And that means our sequence will involve 4n. And then what we do is we go backwards 1 to find the 0th term. So we're going to take away 1. So 9 take away 1 is 5. So the 0th term is 5. And the 0th term just tells us what to add on to the 4n. So 4n plus 5 will be our answer. So we're going to start just by writing this out. So m equals 7 brackets x minus 10. And we're going to put our solving lines in. I'm going to start by expanding the brackets. And we don't need to. We could divide both sides by 7, but I think this is a bit easier. And we're going to subtract, or we're going to add 70 to both sides. So we're trying to get x as the subject. So we're trying to get x on its own. And we're next going to divide both sides by 7. So we have m plus 70, all of that over 7 equals x. So x equals m plus 70 over 7. So we're going to first of all convert the 11 litres into millilitres. So we're going to do 11 times 1,000, which would be 11,000. Okay, so we're going to just draw a line, like a number line. And we're going to have the 11,000 in the middle. Now, what would be the next one down if we're looking at to the nearest 10 mil? So we're going to add a 10 mil on, which will be 11,010, and we're going to take the 10 mil away. So 11,000 take away 10 mil will be 10, 990. Now when we're looking at limits with the upper and lower part of it, we are looking at halfway points. So halfway here and halfway here. So this halfway point will be 10,995, and the next one will be 11,010. 0, 5, and that's the halfway points. And so that is going to be our upper and lower bound. And we just need to say that V can be anything above the 10,995 and including that, and it can be anything below 11,005, but it can't include that, because if it was 11,005, it would have rounded up to 11,010. What I'm going to start off by doing is rearranging this equation so that it kind of matches this one. So I'm just going to write it down. And we want the n to be -2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my rearranging lines in, and we're just going to add 10 to both sides. Now, we've already got this line drawn for us on this graph. And so all we need to do is draw this line. So we've got y equals 10x squared plus 8x minus 2 drawn for us. We just need to draw this line, which is y equals 10, and see where they cross over to find the solutions. So y equals 10 will be all the way up at the top. Let's just make sure I get it nice. There we are. I need to move that up a little bit. There we are. And let's read off the values that gives us. So it comes down here, and it comes down here. So the values it comes down to are -1.6 and 0.8, and those are our solutions. First thing we need to do is work out the volume of this prism, and it's a trapezium based prism. So the volume will be the area of the cross section, or area of the trapezium, times the length, how 3D the prism is. So trapezium is half a plus b h, and then times the length. Now A and B are the two parallel sides, which will be this one and this one, and then the H is the perpendicular line that hits both of them at 90 degrees, which is what perpendicular means, between the bases. So this will be the 25 meters here. So it's going to be half, and then we're going to add 1 and 5, times that by 25. The length is how 3D it is, so it would be that 10 there. So we're going to times that by 10, and that will give us 750. So it's 750 meters cubed. Now, there is a little formula we can make for the rate. So the rate of anything for this will be the volume gained over time. Now, with this question though, we're interested in the time it will take. It says how long will it take. So we're actually looking at the time. So it will be time equals the volume, which is 750, over the rate, which is 15. So 750 divided by 15 is 50. So it will take 50, and let's have a look. It says per minute. So it would be 50 minutes. It's sometimes easier in these questions to view these triangles as two separate triangles rather than one triangle. So we're kind of just going to split this triangle off and just move it to the side so we can see what's going on. I'm going to do the same with the smaller triangle and kind of move that to the side. So we can see we've got two triangles here. We've got a big triangle and small triangle. And we can label the sides of them as 18. Now this long length would be 20 plus x, 20 centimeters plus x. Then we've got 6 here and we've got x here. Now the two triangles are similar because the sides here we assume are, well, we know they are parallel because they are right angles, and they share an angle here, which we can just label as A, and so they are definitely similar, which means that one is an enlargement of the other. So we need the scale factor first. Now if you look at the 6 and the 18, they are what we call corresponding sides. So we need to work out the scale factor by finding out what I multiply the 6 by to get to the 18. Well, that's obviously going to be 3. So we now know that we can times the x by 3 to get to the 20 plus x. So we can write that down. 3x, I'm timesing the x by 3, and that will give me 20 plus x. And so I can solve this now. Subtract x both sides. Always subtract the smaller amount, so 2x equals 20, and then divide both sides by 2. And so we've got x equals 10. So we know that x equals 10, it says find the length x, and so that will be 10. We don't have to for this question, but it might be helpful to draw a Venn diagram for this. And we've got green and brown leaves. So we'll have green on the left and brown on the right. So green and brown. And we're told that there are 19 green and 15 brown and 6 that were not green and brown. So the only number we can put in is the 6 on the outside of the Venn diagram. We're told that 19 are green, but we don't know which, either they're in here or a bit of both. So what we can do is we can label the center x, and we can say that there are 19 take away x just green, because they could have been both green and brown. And for the brown we can do the same. So it'd be 15 minus x. And for the next step, we know that all of them together add up to 32, because it says in the question. So we're going to add all of these, the 19 minus x, the 15 minus x, and the 6 together, and we know that equals 32. And let's get our solving lines in. So we've got minus x and minus x, that will be a minus x. And we've got 19 plus 15 plus 6, which will be 40, equals 32. We're going to take away the 40 both sides. And we can just times by minus 1 both sides to make them both positive. So now we know x is 8, we can start filling in the Venn diagram. So it's 19 take away 8, which will be 11. X is 8, so we know that that's 8. And 15 take away 8, which is 7. So find the amount that were green and brown. We know it's going to be 8. So we're asked to express TQ in terms of P and Q. Well, we've got another Q here, because all of these are congruent parallelograms. And we have a P there. So if we're starting at T and getting to Q, we can go along this path here and down this path here. So we're going backwards down Q, in fact backwards down 2 lots of Q, and then the correct way down P. So it's either minus 2Q plus P or P minus 2Q. To start these questions, we always start here and we go down the lines. So it says probability of winning both games. So we're going to go up this one and we're going to pass this fraction here, and then we're going to win the second game. So we're going to go up this one and cross this fraction here. Now the bit at the end will show us the probability of winning game 1 and the probability of winning game 2. So probability of winning game 1 was the first fraction we circled, which was 10 over 11. Probability of winning game 2 was the second one we circled, which is 4 over 5. The word and in probability means times. So we're going to times the tops, which is 40, times the bottom, which is 55, and we can divide top and bottom by 5, so that will give us the probability of 8 over 11. So we're going to first of all draw a tree diagram for this information. You don't have to, but it is easier to understand what's going on. And so the first choice will be the first pick. It'll either be male or female. And the second choice will be the same, male and female. And looking at the questions, there are 3 male names in the hat and 5 names in total. So the fractions for the first one will be 3 over 5. If there's 3 male names, there'll be 2 females. Now, if we've picked a male name already, there'll be 2 left and 4 left in total. If we haven't picked a female, there's still 2 females, but there's 4 left in total. If we picked a female, there'd still be 3 males and only 4 left in total, but there'd only be 1 female left. 1 female name left and 4 left in total. Okay, we're looking for the probability that the genders of the names are different. So looking at the outcomes, the outcome here would be male-male. That's not what we're interested in. Here would be male-female, we are interested in. Female-male, we are interested in. And female-female, we're not interested in. So we're not interested in these ones. And the way that tree diagrams work is as you go along the tree, any fractions you go across, you multiply together to find the outcome. So this will be 3 over 5 times 2 over 4. And I realise I could cancel 2 over 4, but I generally cancel at the end. So 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 4 is 20. We're going to do the same with the other root. So 2 over 5 times 3 over 4. So 2 over 5 times 3 over 4, 3/4. That would be 6 over 20. Now we're looking to see whether it was male and female or female and male. And the word or in probability means add. So it'd be 6 over 20 plus 6 over 20. And this is the probability of different, which will be 12 over 20. Now 12 over 20 will cancel to 3 over 5, or 3/5. So we're going to start off with 100%. And it says that the card depreciates. That means goes down by, so it goes down by 1.7% every year. So we do 100 take away 1.7, which is 98.3. And that's percent. And we want that as a decimal, or as a multiplier we call it. And so we just divide it by 100 to make it into a decimal, 0.983. And that's our multiplier. And the beautiful thing about a multiplier is we just need the amount of years. Well, it says from 1980 to 1985. So that's going to be 5 years. So it's going to be 5 years. And so what we do is we get the original amount, which was 2,245, and times it by the multiplier 5 times. Now I can't be bothered on my calculator to times it by 0.983 5 times. So what you can do is you can do it to the power of 5, which basically means the same thing. And that gives us 2060.553. And when we round that, that would be £2,060 and 55 pence. So we're told these triangles are similar, which means there's a scale factor between them. So we've got 2 corresponding lengths here and here. So we've got to work out what we times the 22 by to get to the 99. So we do 99 divided by 22, and that's 4.5. So we know we times this by 4.5. And so we do the same with the 35. So we times that by 4.5, because that's our scale factor. And 35 times 4.5 is 157.5. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.